Hey guys, this is Scott with The Average Joe's Armory, the channel for The Average Joe, and we just finished up part one of our Remington's first semi-automatic shotgun series. Now, part one, we talked about the auto-loading shotgun, or the Model 11, and today we're going to be diving into Remington's second semi-automatic shotgun, the Model 1148. Now, likewise with our pump action series, we talked about the Model 10 and the Model 29. And both of those were very similar guns, and really the Model 29 is just known as an upgraded version of the Model 10. Well, when we're talking about the Model 11 and the Model 1148, it's very similar. Both of them were basically recoil operated, hammerless, side ejecting, takedown model shotguns, and really the only difference that you could tell is that the receiver here is a little bit more sleeker, slimline design than the humpback that's on the Model 11. So in reality, the 1148 is really just more of an upgraded version of the Model 11. However, this also gave Remington an opportunity to go a little bit deeper and expand on different gauge sizes, different barrel sizes, different grades, different finishes, and things like that we'll kind of talk about here today. So taking a look, in 1949, after World War II, basically Remington came out with this second design. So the Model 11 was produced from 1905 all the way to 1947. And then in 1949, they came out and started producing the 1148. Now, they made about 455,000 of the 1148s and then ceased production in 1969. Again, those had 12 gauge, 16 gauge, 20 gauge, 28 gauge, and 410 bore configurations. They had barrel sizes ranging from 20 inches out to 32 inches. They had different grades of wood, different checkering, a lot of different things that made them unique. And most of these were 4+1, so 4 in the tube, 1 in the chamber shots. As we recognize John F. Browning on the first Model 11, they basically took that same design, and designers L.R. Crittenden, Ellis Haleston, and C.R. Johnson, basically that team went to work, took a look at the Model 11 design, and then made some of those changes for the 1148. Another thing that kind of was unique is that they didn't just have the Model 1148. They also did a couple spin-offs with it to make it a little more interesting. They did something called the Sportsman's 48, which we have here today. And basically that was more for a hunting application. So that was a 3+1. So you couldn't get all 4 in the tube. You could just get 3 in the tube and then +1 in the chamber. On top of that, they also came out with the Mohawk 48, which actually was produced after 1969. It actually started in 1970 and went till 1974. So we talked a little about the Sportsman 48. It's pretty similar to the 1148, just it couldn't hold as many rounds in the tube. In terms of the Mohawk 48, that's a little bit more different. What they basically did is they took leftover parts from the Sportsman 48 and the 1148, and they rebranded it as the Mohawk 48, and they produced it from 1970 to 1974. So, again, in terms of production ranges, about 455,000 on the 1148, about 276,000 on the Sportsman's 48, and it's actually kind of unknown how many Mohawk 48s they actually made, because a lot of those were just, off parts and rebranded parts. So today we're going to be taking a look at the 1148 and the Sportsman's 48. And I have both of those in front of us here today. Now, I've got a 1949 Sportsman's 48, which is pretty cool because really it's actually one of the first ones made. Because even though it's called the 48, they didn't actually start production until 49. Now in this particular one we have in front of us, it's got the checkering on the wood. This one's actually got a recoil pad that's been added, that's not standard. And it's also got a poly choke on it, which has also been added. Now, you'll notice that with some of these older shotguns, they do have this device on the end of the barrel, and basically that's a permanent fixture on the end of the barrel, and its purpose is to basically have flexibility and adaptability in the choke that you're going to use. So for hunters, it's great. All you have to do is just turn it, and it's going to change the amount of choke that barrel has for your shot. So it's actually really versatile, and it makes a lot of sense for the hunter that needs that in the moment. But for somebody who's more of a competitive shooter, target shooter, they don't need that. So that is an add-on that you'll see on some of those. Some of them also had something called a cuts compensator on them too. So poly chokes, cuts compensators, if you see those on the end, that's what they're for. They're not actually factory. We also have an 1148 in front of us here today, and this is actually a 1951. Obviously they pretty much look the same besides that poly choke on the end, and then this one actually has the original butt pad on it too, which is more of a butt plate. It didn't have the recoil pad. So with that said, not a lot different than the Model 11. It still, like I said, was recoil operated. It was hammerless. It was side ejecting. It held the same amount of rounds, and it was a takedown model, so you could actually put different barrels on it. It was easy to clean. As you can see, this looks a little bit more like the shotgun that we've come accustomed to, and this was now, from the 49 to 69 era. That said, this is the second shotgun, or Remington's second semi-automatic shotgun that was also recoil operated. When we go into part 3, we're going to be diving into a whole new world. It's a different type of shotgun, which I'm excited to present. But until then, we've got the Model 11, the 1148, the Sportsman's 48, and the Mohawk 48. And as always, I like doing the research. We love shooting the video, and most importantly, we love sharing it with all of you guys. If you do like this kind of content, as we dive into, Remington's shotguns of the 1900s, specifically in this series, the semi-autos, please take the time to like, subscribe, ring that bell so you get notifications for any kind of future content. We also love reading your comments too, so feel free to share any information that you might have at home that I'm not sharing with you guys, because our viewers would love to hear that. And with that said, this is Scott signing off with the Average Joe's Armory, and until next time, I'll see you guys then.